Welcome to the Primary PE Lead podcast, the go-to show for all things primary physical education and swimming. I'm your host, Sam Horton, bringing you practical tips, expert insights and real talk to help you lead PE with confidence, energy and impact. Whether you're on the field, in the pool or planning your next lesson, we've got you covered. Let's dive in.
As you see today, lockdown, as I'm sure everyone else did, downloaded TikTok. I was just sat there flicking through all the funny dances. I was like, I'm not doing that. I know I've got a terrible memory, so I'm going to create a resource bank purely for me, really, so I can flip through sometime. Right, I'm doing Invasion Game, and I know that game, and then it just took off. I posted a few videos, didn't really get nothing out there, but again, that's the biggest learning curve for me. I'm not doing it to get 1,000 million views. I'm doing it again. The main is for my memory bank, and then people are like, "Oh, I like this. Can you share an idea about this?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that." And it kind of took off. So TikTok was the first one. And I thought I'll go back to Instagram. I've had a few Instagram accounts in the past. So bizarre. You'll share something on TikTok, it'll go well, and you think I'll put it on Instagram, and it doesn't do the same as well. So I think, and I've learned a lot about social media, what works, what doesn't work, and it's that blurred line, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on, being a content creator and also a PE teacher / sports coach. And then here we are. I get to work with some fantastic brands, companies. I've had some amazing opportunities coming on podcasts, and I've absolutely loved it. So it can be very, very hard work, but
Hi, welcome to the Primary PE Lead podcast. Today's guest is Kev Weir. This is somebody who I've been looking at for quite some time now, who I'm just blown away that he's my guest as well. He's a primary PE teacher, stroke sports coach with UEFA B qualification. He shares creative and engaging physical education content with Just Play Sports. You post on several social media platforms such as Instagram, TikTok and X. Provides daily PE ideas, coaching tips and lesson plans aimed at enhancing physical education. Content focuses on making PE fun, competitive and inclusive. Downloadable content through places such like Gumroad, and this is the thing that's completely so impressive. 216,000 followers on Instagram, 138,000 followers on TikTok with 2.6 million likes. Wow, that is impressive. Kev, thank you so much.
to talking PE and coaching and put the world to right.
Brilliant. I want to go back to the early days of you being a pupil and your own experience for PESPA, Physical Education School for and Physical Activity at primary and secondary school setting.
In terms of primary, if I'm honest, this sounds terrible. I don't remember too much about the actual PE kind of content in the curriculum. But for me, my first memory of school sport and PE was netball. So I didn't play football till I got to secondary school level and took up netball. And I think we'll touch upon it a bit later on. But for me, kind of the ethos behind my teaching philosophy and Just Play Sports as a whole was playing netball. Being a male, as I got older, came slightly more tricky. And Lady Paula Fuller is probably the most inspirational coach I've met. And for her, that's why we started all this in the first place. She fought tooth and nail. She's like, this boy loves playing netball, but we're stopping him just on his agenda. And she was going to meetings like, we need to get this kid to play more netball. Unfortunately, that was unsuccessful. But the thought that someone wanted to let me play something that I enjoy based on no matter what my ability or gender was, stuck with me. So for me, I was like, wow, someone believed in me to let me play the sport that I loved at the time. That's what we need to do. So that was my primary PE kind of experiences, very netball based, very much free play based outside of school. So you got playing football out, 40-40 Kirby, all those kind of games that now kids probably don't do. They don't go out and play anymore. It's a shame. So that was kind of the earliest experiences. And like I said, I don't remember too much about the PE lessons. I think my only PE memory was, and it's summer term, rounders. I never forget, we're playing on the playground and one of the lads, he's got the bat, he's got a big hit, everyone get back. And he went to swing, he missed it, and he let go of the bat, and he smashed it through the school window, the classroom. I was like, oh no. So the fact that, I don't remember the actual content of the lessons, again, resonates with me, kind of my teacher philosophy now. So, and then moved on to secondary school, was very much more sport specific. And again, teachers there, I had low self-esteem as a kid. growing up. I thought I was okay at sport. I wasn't in any kind of academies or anything like that. I played grassroots level, but teachers saw something in me, which I was probably the kind of the stereotypical PE boy who loved PE but didn't enjoy the other subjects. So, the teachers go, Kev's got to go to cricket fiction now or football fiction. And it was like, oh, what's going on? So again, people believing in me, allowing me to play something, stuck with me. And again, that's, I think, where I am now. And what's my ethos and philosophy of teaching and coaching is, no matter who you are, you should be able to enjoy playing something that you have they start off that slight, little flicker. We want to get that full fire burning and let them enjoy playing sport and enjoying PE lessons as a whole.
Well, my experience is probably quite very much like yours. Is that I just remember just running around with barefoot doing gymnastics in primary. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And for me as a teacher, what I try to do, like what you're saying, is that I try to let them have the best experience I possibly can in primary school level, because I'm hoping that 10, 20 years time, they still remember who I am and remember the lessons, if you know what I mean. So I understand where you come from with that. So can you remember when you wanted to turn this into a career? Was there a light bulb moment?
Yes, I think I always wanted to have a job in sport or in physical activity. So I was, toward my latter part of secondary school, I was doing a lot of volunteering. So I would go into the PE department, help out there, lunchtime clubs, work with the year 7, 8 kids. And then I was like, the likelihood of me being a professional footballer is not going to happen. Maybe a professional football coach. So I was kind of a PE teacher, football coach. I live in Devon, and there's only 2 professional football clubs in our area. So again, that's even more slim, unless you have to obviously relocate. So I think I was always had that flicker of wanting to do something involving teaching or coaching, helping others again enjoy doing the activities that they want to do, and ignite that spark of a love of potential being physically active for the rest of their lives. So I think I always had that moment of coaching or teaching, and I think as I geared towards the latter part of college, university, it then looking at the likelihood of a full-time role, it was more the PE role there. But I was always, volunteering experiences from college, university. I'd always go back to school and help out. I was coaching university teams there as well, and also at college. So there's always, throughout that latter part of being 16, 17 plus, there was always some involvement of teaching or coaching, volunteering experiences.
So moving on from there, from the coaching experience, etc. So could you just start telling me briefly your teaching and coaching journey from then to current day?
Again, I was still in that kind of that in the middle of teaching and coaching. So I went to Marjon, where the degree studied both. And then after university, I fortunately got a job with the FA. So I spent 6 years there with their skills program. So we were going around local schools in the southwest. We were going into lots of primary schools, working with teachers, upskilling them, using football as a vehicle, but it still wasn't solely what maybe people traditionally think of. It's passing, dribbling, shooting, attacking. It's, if anyone's familiar with the 4 corner model, so it's technical, psychological, social, and technical. So I was then working primary schools, going around lots of different areas, seeing big schools, small schools, teachers who had no experience in PE. And then off the back of that, I got a job in an SMH school, in a primary SMH school. And what was quite good about that was it was a literally blank slate. We went in, empty building. That was probably the best inset training I ever had. I learned how to build flat pack furniture. We were in there building all the classrooms, the tables, the chairs, the bookcases. It was fantastic. So the good thing about that was it was an absolute clean slate. So yes, we had by the curriculum, but we very adapted because these children, they struggled in mainstream education. So we've got that barrier of children all the time of who may be disengaged in PE. These kids disengage in education full stop. So being able to be so flexible in what we deliver in terms of PE, we were giving them, every class had a swimming lesson once a week, which I know many schools struggle with. We were giving them many sporting experiences, which they may not get outside of school. And then off the back of that, more recently, I'm now back into mainstream, where I'm in my current role, so about 5 months into that now, where I'm the PE teacher and PE lead there in a mainstream primary school. It's huge. Again, lots of pupil and high needs children there as well. So again, I think the kind of consistency has been children with SEN, low engagement in education / PE as well.
Well, we're going to talk about quite a few things today. So, when you just briefly talk about the SEN experience that you've had, would you say that's really helped you design these amazing systems that you've put in place that is focusing very much on
Yeah,
inclusivity.
no, 100%. We took kids to we took the local tennis centre, and they had a tennis coach there, and the kid just went, "This isn't tennis." And I think the activities that this coach was doing was fantastic. It was, it was very skill game based, but in these kids' eyes, they weren't playing what they thought was a game of tennis. So we had to break it right down to help them understand that actually to be to what you see on at Wimbledon or on TV, we have to break it down and make it more accessible for you. And they went, "Oh yeah." Oh, and then when that light bulb went clicked, the engagement then increased because they were engaged in the activity she was trying to put on, which again were fantastic. Nothing wrong with what she was putting on. And same with boxing. We're doing the boxing. We thought, the life skills, discipline, respect. They thought they were going to have 12 rounds in the ring with the other kids. They were buzzing. When they got there and they realized it wasn't that, they were like, "That's not boxing." I was like, "No, there are other things." And that's again, the irony that I'm called Just Play Sports. It is more than sport.
Yes, of course. So, you were talking briefly earlier on about it was a blank canvas, that school. Is that when you started creating your own scheme of work and all the creativity come in place, or did you buy into something?
We didn't buy into a scheme of work because, again, a lot of the schemes out there, and I'm not going to call out names and name shame anybody like that, but it was very hard to spend all that money when a lot of kids wouldn't get to access the content that was out there. So I'm very fortunate with my experiences. I can create a scheme of work which is accessible and highly adaptable for the kids that we're working with. Although we only had 6 children per class maximum, they were still high needs, still struggle to engage most of the time. So we had to be very flexible, and having that piece of paper is not going to be what we're delivering outright as well. So that enabled me to kind of adapt the best that I could. And now bringing that back into mainstream with 30 plus kids in the class again is a challenge because obviously that's not a blank slate. So these kids, their experiences of PE, they probably won't remember. Like I said, I didn't know my PE experiences in primary school, so they can more of a clean slate to have. Whereas now the children I'm working with have had PE very recently with an old teacher, and they're like, "Well, that's not what we did before." So now trying to mold that into what they had before to my expectations is more of a challenge.
So let's talk about Just Play Sports. The figures is just mind blowing. So it's clearly the content. I've seen it, and I'm an experienced PE teacher. I'm a content creator, and I'm honestly, Kev, your stuff is absolutely amazing.
To be honest, Just Play Sports as a PE, and I hate the word business. I always say this, like it is a business, but I hate using the word business. I'm a rubbish businessman. I'm a far better educator. But in terms of a PE business, so when I left the FA, that's when Just Play Sports was created. I wanted to bring what I'd learned from working in lots of schools, educating teachers, upskilling teachers, and bring that into kind of a different package of what's out there at the moment. Because I know a lot of schools in England will have external providers coming in, providing PE or buying into schemes. So kind of my pitch, and anyone watching this, feel free to steal it. It didn't work for me, it might work for you, is I didn't want to go into school and work there for half a term, and then go. I wanted to be there longer term, half a year, a full school year, not just an afternoon and after school club. I really wanted to help those teachers so when I leave, they're better equipped to teach PE, as opposed to me going to the same school every 6 weeks or every year for 6 weeks, and then there's no progress. Unfortunately, many schools didn't want that. They wanted an afternoon and after school club, which as a business, that's not viable. And again, doesn't really fit my ethos. So that I geared that towards a more community. So working with local football clubs, holiday clubs, and then that's when I worked in the SOMH school. So in terms of what Just Play Sports as you see today, lockdown, as I'm sure everyone else did, downloaded TikTok. I was just sat there flicking through all the funny dances. I was like, I'm not doing that. I know I've got a terrible memory. So I'm going to create a resource bank purely for me, really. So I can flip through sometime, right, I'm doing invasion games. And I know that game. And then it just took off. I posted a few videos, didn't really get nothing out there. But again, that's the biggest learning curve for me. I'm not doing it to get 1,000 million views. I'm doing it, again, the main is for my memory bank. And then people are like, "Oh, I like this. Can you share an idea about this?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that." And it kind of took off. So TikTok was the first one. And I thought I'll go back to Instagram. I've had a few Instagram accounts in the past. It's so bizarre. You'll share something on TikTok, it'll go well, and you think I'll put it on Instagram, and it doesn't do the same as well. So I think, and I've learned a lot about social media, what works, what doesn't work, and it's that blurred line, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on, being a content creator and also a PE teacher slash sports coach. And then here we are. I get to work with some fantastic brands, companies. I've had some amazing opportunities coming on podcasts, and I've absolutely loved it. So it can be very, very hard work, but
I presume it's all that consistency, because like when you're putting them daily P videos, you're putting them out daily and stuff like that. And it's very, very good. It's very impressive. So for somebody who's a content creator myself, it's the way that your creative mind is so impressive, because you turn games, like a game like could be stuck in the mud, and you can turn it, like for example, in the water. When I teach swimming, I put it stuck in the water, so then I have to do a pencil float underneath the arms. By just tweaking a game, it completely changes the whole thing, doesn't it? So if I was somebody who wanted to use one of your games for my lessons, bring it into my lessons, what kind of things would help me have that high quality lesson? What things could I pull?
yeah, and I've done a few videos saying, don't copy my videos, which sounds ironic that I'm sharing all these videos. But I think, and as you said, it's taking the idea and tweaking it for you. So, an example, a tag game, so Chicken Twin or Hero. I've never heard this game until last year. So my mate, he delivered it for me. I was like, this is incredible. The kids loved it. How I've never seen this. And the kids like, oh yeah, I know that game. So we played it and the kids loved it. And then I called it Taylor Swift. I just, on the spot, because they're talking about Taylor Swift, I know, we'll call it Anti-Hero. And although they played Chicken Hero 2 weeks ago, they didn't click that we're playing the same game. So, I'm taking this is what I often say to anyone is, if you're creating your own scheme of work or content, 99.9% of the ideas that I've shared, I've seen elsewhere, I've tweaked and adapted it. And that's the golden nugget for me, is seeing something and going, I like that. It might not work like that with my class, but I need to adapt it. And that may be for a simple name change. It may be a simple rule change where you can engage those kids, grasp them in. Like today is May the 4th, Star Wars Day. There'll be kids in your class who love Star Wars but hate PE. As soon as you start playing a Star Wars game, they're like, I love this.
Well, the great thing about it as well is that this is designed for 4 years old all the way up to adults. Because if you do head, shoulders, knees, and cones, and adults will still love that reaction game. It's crazy how effective it is. It's absolutely brilliant. I want to go a bit more into your creative mind, because you literally come up with ideas all the time, and obviously you've got so much content out there. So did you realise at a young age that you had such a good creative mind, or is this through all experience?
Today it's more experience. I think, again, the coaches that I met in the past, so another Gareth Long for me, he was one of the most creative teachers and coaches. He was my lecturer at uni and it worked in the FA later on. His ideas were absolutely fantastic. And I remember a story, I can't remember, someone has told me that they were predominantly a football coach, and they were a lecturer and a PE teacher, and their son was playing rugby and they needed a rugby coach. So he's like, oh yeah, I'll do it, because I know a bit about coaching and teaching. And he's like, the parents are blown away by my rugby. He's like, I've never played rugby. I know nothing about rugby, but because I know how to plan and deliver a lesson and a session, it clicked and it worked. So I think it's just trial and error. I'll do stuff and it will go to pot. I'll go, that will work. Maybe a tweak here or there. And it's from a content creator point of view. I'll think, I've got this great idea. I'm going to film it. I'll put it out there. And it will go flat. Nothing happens. I will share a game. So my most viewed video on TikTok is one touch, one bounce. It's such a simple concept. Tic-tac-toe, where you've got to get 3 in a row of the bibs. The relay race. Again, one of the most viewed videos. Whereas the games that I love the best kind of don't get the views that match up to it. So I always say PE should be fun. And as I get older and probably a bit more boring, I'm like, it needs to be more engaging as fun, because people hate the word fun. If you're saying PE's got to be fun, they go, well, no, they're there to learn. They can't learn if they're having fun. Like, they can. And I'm kind of like, okay, what's fun for you is different to me. So I get that. Let's go with that. Let's go engaging. So if we're doing a PE lesson and we're spending half our time talking to those kids, or they're in a line of 15, 16 waiting to have a bat at round or cricket, that's not engaging. So can we find ways that those kids are engaged for the maximum amount of time possible? And I'm always finding ways that they do bottle flips, fidget spinners. I've played games with them using match attack cards. Any way that we can engage kids, I'm going to give it a go.
But like they say, like fun is the way that is like you should only do it break time, should only do it lunchtime. But the thing is, though, if they are participating in one of the games and we really focus on that holistic approach, the emotional, social, cognitive, and physical, and we can clearly see it, and we ask them some key questions, and the cognitive side's there. That fun is that love of learning approach as well. So that's what they are having fun whilst learning. That's a win-win. Let's go into a bit of an open discussion, talk about the scheme work. So obviously you're P lead within your school setting. So what does your scheme of work look like? What kind of topics does your children have?
I'm very lucky that my new head is like, we'll let you have free reins. You can, use scheme work we've brought into, or, you can kind of go with your own. So looking at the scheme work they had, as again, someone who's experienced in PE, it was like 20 pages for a lesson plan. I'm like, for me, I'm overwhelmed by that. I'm like, so those those who may not have a kind of a experience in PE will be put off by that as well. So I like to keep it simple. I've delved into a few schemes. I've seen a few out there. So beyond the physical, for me, I think it's one of the best scheme of works I've seen in primary PE, hands down. So I've used a lot of their work. But I think for me, obviously being 5 months in, could we play football? Could we play football? Unfortunately, if I was here in September, we would have had certainly an invasion game unit. So at the moment, we're on striking and fielding. So striking and fielding plus sports day prep. So in terms of a whole year, the plan is for me, thinking ahead, is there'll be some invasion game topics in there. So learning, yes, we're learning the skills of dribbling, attacking and defending, but also how to work as a team, communication, problem solving, communication, collaboration, goal setting, netball activities. So instead of me saying, we're doing 6 weeks of cricket, football, 6 weeks of netball, because I'll lose kids from the moment I say that word. Football, insert sport. Again, the irony of being called Just Play Sports. So it's very much concept based, where there are outcomes for, of course, physical outcomes, tactical, technical outcomes. But for me, and I guess I've got to be trying more careful of being more holistic as opposed to being more biased towards the physical and psychological cooperation kind of side of things. So that's the plan for the year. I've seen 5 months in. Kids are enjoying it, which is the main thing. Staff say it's well received. So fingers crossed we can think of that in the next academic year as well.
Well, I'm 2 years in. I mean, I've been P lead for 3 years and content's creator for the last 2 years, and I've had a blank canvas and created my own systems. It's the best thing we've ever done. It's definitely the hardest thing we've ever done as well, because it does take up a lot of time. So how I've done it as well, and I'm curious of what you think about this, is that in Key Stage 1, we focus on the fundamental skills. And in years 3 and 4, we focus on sport specific. And in 5 and 6 is modified sports. But at the same time, what I do with 5 and 6 is whenever I do the topic normally lasts a half term. And the first 3 weeks, we go over to sport specific again in 5 and 6 to really drill it in. And for weeks 4 to 6, we slowly bring in the tactics and rules. Obviously, I presume it all depends on the school and the catchment area. This is still early days for me, in the way that for next year or two, I might have to do some tweaks. And that's the thing about teaching, you're just constantly tweaking. So what do you think of that progression, fundamental, sport-specific stroke modified?
And it's always that kind of, it's the taboo subject of saying sport-specific. And I think for us, I did the NFL course recently, which is a fantastic course, got the free kit. And they're like, you have to deliver it in your score as part of the course. And it was well received by the kids. And I think the reason for that was because it's a non-traditional sport. So everyone's on the same level playing field. Whereas if we say football, for example, we got kids who are playing grassroots teams, doing extra football outside here or there. So it's not a level playing field as such. Now, for an experience and someone has an interest in PE, we can adapt that and differentiate, use a small side of games, step principle, etc. But in terms of the non-experienced PE teacher and scheme of work, and I always keep away of using schemes of work kind of sell my own products, because as I said, I don't know the school, as you said, don't know the classes, don't know the equipment you got. So if I was saying, here's week 1, lesson 1, week 2, lesson 2, it would be hard to kind of get that right for every single class, every unit. So my playbooks that I have on the website are very much so striking and fielding games. There are a plethora of striking and fielding games with learning outcomes, steps success assessment for learning criteria as well. So I think if done right, it can work, but it has to be done right. We can't be going in with this sport specific kind of curriculum with just sport based outcomes.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. So if I went in to see one of your lessons, what would I be seeing from start to finish?
They walk in, they're going to be active. It's in. We set the expectations. Off we go. We're playing as quick as we can because it's always that children sat down for too long in schools. When we're outside in PE, we want to be active as much as possible. So it'll often very much like a tag game. Kids love they love tag, they love being chased, and then we're breaking off into very much small sided games where we may be skill based. So, for example, we had Key Stage 2 striking fielding, the striking element. So, looking at batting placements, resilience. So, when we miss the ball or we miss the target, it's then having another go. Working in small groups to kind of help each other, coach each other through the lesson as well. And then go into a small-sided game, which again may or may not look like the actual sport. So the kids are, we're playing cricket. It's not a cricket game. There's lots of differentiation. So, for example, they can choose the striking implements. It can be a cricket bat, a tennis racket, a football. It could be the number of fielders. The fielding elements could be adapted into there. But I think it's engagement from the off. And if they're not physically moving, it's because they're engaged in some form of conversation, which is based on the learning outcomes and the steps to achieve success in that practice or game that they're actually playing.
Impressive. So, for people who are very early into it, sports coaches, PE teachers, active learning time is something that's very, very important. And obviously, you've just told me little things from how you maintain that is through those small groups and stuff like that. What other thing could we throw into our lesson to maintain the active learning times at a high level?
I think ownership to the kids as well. So, letting them create. Sometimes I think there's no problem letting kids choose their own groups and teams. It's quicker. Then that increases activity time. Can we have, can they set the practice up as well? So give them ownership to be part of it. So I think for me, if I had that, I maybe have caught the bug a bit earlier. But actually, the kid who may not be the keen sport person could be, they're going to be a leader or a team member later on in some other aspects of life as well. And I think when I was looking at active flash groups, and in my head, I'm thinking I'm going to get met with backlash for like, oh, if we're doing maths, what you're saying, kids got to do press ups and start ups whole lesson. No, that's not what we mean. It's lots of small, movement breaks in between, lots of activities and engagement where they're doing the most possible. And it may look like I'm not doing anything because the kids are, they're talking, they're discussing, they're planning tactics, they're setting up practice activities. I've literally, and what I've used recently works quite well, is like, look, I'm only going to talk for 60 seconds. So I'll get something, you can count for me in your head. If I go over 6 seconds, stop me. Because if I can't explain a practice or activity in 6 seconds, I'm waffling. So it's like, here's a game, go set up, off you go. And then I can then go and work within each group, drive by and talk to them, kind of guide them on the right path with the groups that they're working with as well.
When I ever team teacher observe other PE teachers, I can see things quite quickly now because I go, that was me. I made that mistake. I made that mistake. I made that mistake. And the mistake that I did for many, many years was lecturing over the teaching. Have you got any other kind of things that could really help somebody with like bringing that teaching aspect in rather than the lecturing aspect?
Even having resources, so bring out whiteboards, having resources out there. So, for example, if you're playing a game, you may have the game rules. So, one of the game print out. So you go, here's the game rules, and they'll go, oh, sir, so cheating. Okay, let's go to the game. Let's have a look. What bit what bit are you struggling with? Where's the confusion? Where's the confliction? And then we can work through that as well. And having those small groups allows that. And I think going back to the saying about making the mistake of lecture in the early days, I often think what I have to say, does one person need to hear that, the group I'm working with, or the whole class? In the early days, I was like, the whole class has to stop because Kev has made a mistake. And actually, Kev may be the only one making that mistake. So that needs to be a conversation with Kev on the side where everyone's playing. Right, just a quick reminder, this is what we're going to do. Try and do this next time, and then go back in and play. So that's why I just love using small-sided games and small activities, because you can allow that activity time for the rest of the group to still play, still be active, and those inputs that you're getting in there, that you need to get in there because they need, kind of guiding back onto the right path for those kids who need to hear it.
I mean, the great thing about it is a lot what you're saying is that you're giving these children so much ownership, and that's a life skill as well. And obviously, focus on one group with the other 5 going, keep the activity levels nice and high. So yeah, it's very, very impressive. So differentiation wise, obviously we've got the step method as well. Would you be able to explain to the listeners what the step method means?
It's been used in teaching and coaching for years in terms of PE. It is a way of differentiating your lessons to allow every child to achieve some form of success. So it's broken down into, and there may be different kind of acronyms to people. For me, it's space, time, and people. And I had a great question when I shared this on social media recently, saying, do you do all of them in every lesson? I'm like, no, because I may not need to. So, space, for example, if you're playing an invasion game and it's kind of a keep ball activity, if you're having a small space, kids are going to be losing the ball left, right, and centre, and they go, oh, this is rubbish, I'm rubbish, I can't do it. So just widen that area up, there's more room for error, kids get more success, they're going to enjoy it because they're getting success, we can then move from there. And you look at the time, you may say, for example, if athletics, can you run as fast as you can in X amount of time? This group, can you work and do it completely in this set of time? Equipment, again, we touched on about striking and fielding different equipment, striking implements, cricket bats, rounders bat, tennis rackets, hand, feet, different size balls. Noodles are, for me, noodles are the most underrated piece of equipment in English PE. See it in America all the time. They love using it. I think we need to use noodles much more in England. They're well worth. Well, they're so expensive here. I've seen like in the American Facebook groups, I'll be on 50 cents. They're like £4 here in our shop.
Yeah, yeah. You see, you get 50 from Walmart for 50p or
Believe
something.
it.
Yeah,
But
50
like,
cents.
I brought them when I moved from the school. They're going, sir, we're going swimming. I was like, no, you wait and see what we're going to use these for. And obviously, yeah, people. So I went back to those groups. If you're playing 3v3, it may be a 5v2 or a 4v3. So there's slight tweaks that can make it easier or harder for your kids that you're working with to achieve success. Because at the end of the day, we want every child to achieve some form of success because that's when the enjoyment comes into it. If we catch them being good, they go, actually, I like this. I want more of this. So I'm going to do more of this.
What do you think of primary P at the moment? Because like I've been with my school setting for 8 years, and I think it's rapidly changing 8 years. Where I have talked about this on previous podcasts, where like 4 years ago, 5 years ago during COVID, I thought it was a COVID thing, but I do think it's not a COVID thing at all. It's just the new generation because obviously you and me, we used to play Kirby. We used to go out at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night at parks. Now where children are just staring at the phone, so I do think technology has affected their attention span. Have you noticed that?
I think the kind of the skill level, the fitness levels have dropped. But again, that comes down to lack of play. And I think the only kind of, and even the kids now who may still be physically active in their youngest of ages, their only experience of physical activity is in a very structured environment. So even then, it's very routine. You've got to do this way. That's it. So, and then for me, I think, well, let's strip it right back then. So as we said about earlier about the head, shoulders, knees and cones game. So if we can play games where it matches the level the kids we're working with, that may look like a reception lesson from 10, 15 years ago with a year 6 class. That's what we need to have. That's what we need to have.
Yeah.
And again, that's where these pre-prescribed schemes of work may need to be, because they say, oh, here's a year 1 lesson. Well, actually, my year 4s need this. So people teach them, go, I'm not doing a year 1 lesson with a year 4 class. That's not right. They may kind of be kind of embarrassed by doing that. But actually, that's what they need. They may need those skills that year 1 kids had all those years ago.
Well, the things that you've created with that fun aspect, with focus on all 4 corners, the way that you're saying it is now, I do think we are going down that route of how to teach PE because with the attention span, because yours is so fun and engaging, you probably don't see it that much in your lessons at all because they are so engaged. Where I think I need to tweak how I create things as well. Like, for example, how I would do it is I do a warm up, get them engaged in the first 10 seconds. I move in and out, looking for space, agility, all that kind of stuff. And then I go into my main theme. For example, if my topic is attack and defend for year 2, I focus on defending skills, drip feed the teaching points. But I bring up level up teaching, so I do my skill and the drill at the same time, and I bring in fun challenges, and then I do a game situation at the end. So I think I am getting things out of it with my children because I make sure that my expectations are very, very high. I make sure my environment's very high quality. But I do think I need to drift the way that you're delivering it.
You still have those expectations, kind of in terms of behaviours, expectations. That's still the same. but it's the content that we're delivering. So if we can swerve in, and I see again going back to content creators with teachers online sharing stuff, I see a lot of drill based practices, and I think that drill based practices are only going to entice those kids who already are playing that sport or who are already sporty. And I often say to teachers when I used to work with them in kind of college or whatever now, they're like, "Oh, I didn't like PE at school." I'm like, "That's great. That we want you teaching PE because what put you off PE is exactly what we don't need to do. So you know what not to do with the kids. Do the opposite. Definitely needs to be stripped right back down."
I try to be that motivator. I try to be really positive, and I think it's down to the person who delivers it as well. And I do try to get out the children. I mean, it's done well. I mean, I've won the school swimming award for swimming, so I'm classed as the best in the country now for Swim England. So that was a win-win. So that went well. Here's a great example of what you're saying as well. So with year one, I created systems where you got your topics, strike, catch, move, run, jump, throw, all that kind of stuff, and it wasn't clicking. So what I've done is I've done a theme every single week. It's still exactly the same. I haven't changed it. I've just themed it, and I've changed the name of my games. So one week is Toy Story. Next week is Dinosaur. Next week is Robin Hood. Next week is that. And the children, I'll come into the lesson, Miss Dawn, is it Toy Story today? Is it Toy Story today? And it just tells you by me just changing the name. I haven't changed anything else. How much they really want
Exactly.
it.
You said that. No kid has ever gone in going, "Oh, sir, can we do that throwing game or drill we did the other week?" They remember it. And I think it could be for us the worst game ever, but because you give it a name, they are so buzzing to play it. And yeah, no, absolutely. And for me, I love going into Key Stage 1 reception. It's my favourite time of the week because you can literally just have a blast. But again, you can still get those expectations in there. You still get the learning outcomes. But to those kids, they're having the best time of their lives because they're being Woody, they're being dinosaurs, they're being astronauts. But for us adults watching it, they're running, they're jumping, they're learning throwing and catching skills, rolling skills. Ticks all the boxes for adults, which is great.
The number game, 1 means hopping, 2 means this, and so on. So I had like Bo Peep does this, and then Buzz Lightyear flies away, and etc. And then I'll shout Andy's coming, and they'll lie on the floor and stuff like that into a star. So sports premium, we were up in the air with sports premium. Let's touch on that a little bit. Obviously, we're going to find out from AFP and YST sometime in the near future. If it's a no, what do you think it's going to be like for primary PE?
I do fear. I really do. And it sounds sad and it sounds kind of half empty. But I remember there was the research came out. I don't know if it was the Youth Sport Trust, but it was a year ago or so. They were saying teachers still don't feel confident teaching primary PE. And I'm like, most funded subject in the national curriculum. What's been going on? Where has it been spent? And I've heard some horror stories of what schools have spent it on. And kind of the model we have here in England, again, is very much external provider based, buy into schemes of work. And I think we touched upon that earlier about, you could buy into that scheme of work, have that piece of paper, but it's the person delivering that content stood at the front of the lesson that makes the lesson. No piece of paper can replicate. We've all been in the same boat. We've had to cover a class and we have the lesson plan. We're like, okay, someone else written this for, in their mindset for their class. I'm not them. I don't know this class. It's going to be complete shambles. So, and I always say it will come to an end at some point, whether that's this year or next year, whether it's going to be reduced or not. I think we have to start getting ready for it because, not every school are blessed to have a primary PE teacher or a primary PE lead who may have, kind of the experience qualifications in primary PE. So I think start prepping now. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to that time when it is cut and, even external providers. And people often think I give these external providers a bad name. I do not. I just want the kids to have the best experience in PE and school sport. And I want the best people in front of those kids. So yeah, fingers crossed it does happen soon, and we get to know about it soon because I know a lot of schools will be planning and preparing for next year. So the sooner the better, really.
My previous guest was Gary Zaratos, and he was a peer observer for Denver schools, Colorado. He's in charge of all the Denver schools, and I think they should do that. Have a primary PE teacher in charge of certain areas like Dudley Council and so on, and they should support and go to 4 or 5 schools a day to upskill staff. And don't get me wrong, you have some amazing sports coaches out there, you have some amazing primary PE teachers, but there's majority of staff that have that fear factor. And some PE leads, amazing PE leads, but you still have that small percentage of PE leads that are just, there you go, you're in charge of PE now, like, I know nothing about PE. And I still think we're all about sustainability, but I fear for it because we already have that issue with the current generation, and I just think we really need to try and upskill staff as soon as possible. Within my school, it's very different. It's very like a secondary school setting because I'm the P lead and the full-time PE teacher, and I have another full-time PE teacher and a part-time swimming teacher because we've got a field and a swimming pool on site. So we are lucky.
Yeah, no, I think, providers, I think a lot of, and again, I've said there are some amazing sports coaches out there, many who have that PE background. I think anyone watching this who is a sports coach who wants to go down the PE route, I think the quicker you can get the AFBP qualifications, level 4, 5, and 6 for those with QTS, get on that as quick as you can, because that gives you, yes, I often think, and there's always this kind of, oh, we shouldn't have coaches replace teachers. But as we said, there are some teachers out there who absolutely hate PE and would probably rather a sports coach come in and deliver it. But why not work together? As I said, upskill them, go in, work together, because that sports coach will probably have great ideas for lessons, kind of, activities and content. The teacher will have the behavior management, the pedagogy side of things. Put that together, they can work with each other, and it makes such a better place. But often it's very much one or the other.
All the games that you've created, have you got a top 5 that is just like a go-to game? I'll tell you mine. I love Around Milky Way Gates. When you just send and receive for the gate, because there's so many things you can do with it. That's my go-to. Have you got any go-tos?
So for me, my Yoshi is for older ones. I don't know if you've seen that one. So it's basically it's an invasion game where I often use the netball court. So you have 2 teams and they're in the Ds, and you basically have to get from your D to the other side. And once you cross the halfway line, you can be tagged by the other team. So if you get tagged, you're stuck in the mud, and then your teammates have to come and save you. It's the first team to get everyone across safely to the other side. So you've got attacking and defending tactics in there. And people go, what about? And people go, well, so what about the kids just run to the other side? I'm like, well, that's the point of the game. So that's a great attacking tactic. So maybe then we need to guide them on how to defend, because if they're just everyone's running, you're not defending. So then you can then dictate that and attacking and defending conversations, tactics, and planning and lots of roles. That's kind of my go-to for older students. Head, shoulders, and cones, I think, is a winner for all age groups. Like, I do an adult football team, and they're absolutely buzzing. They're buzzing more than the kids sometimes. Some of the stuff I do with them. Cone Monster is probably my favourite dribbling game. So I often use that for football, where you'd have everyone with football and a couple of kids have a cone. Then people with the cone have to try and put their cone on top of football. You could either have them swap roles if they do that, or they get a point every time they're successful and then rotate through. So that's 3. 4, I like again, there's so many variations on it. The Monster Ball game, or the quick game I shared this week, where you've got 2 teams and they're throwing either at a larger ball trying to get it across the other side, or the wickets trying to knock them down again. Kicking, throwing, you can adapt it for so many things. That's 4. 5, tough one. It's got to be a tag game, isn't it? Hot potato tag. I think that's my favourite one. So they're in pairs, pass, again, hand or feet. On the signal, the person who wants to escape, and they have to catch the other person. I think that's my top 5. But I'm glad you asked about top 5 games. People often say, what's your favourite sport to teach? And they're shocked when I say, I hate football. I cannot teach football in school. It's the ego, the stigma attached to it. It frustrates me. Like, because I do this, I play outside of school, this and that. Okay, that's great. But having no other sport, we're doing American football. Look, it's like, oh yeah, I play for the Denver, I don't know, okay, name of their NFL team. But football for me is probably the bottom of my sports to teach.
I saw the one where you did the selfie with the cone as well.
Yes,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so again, that's early kids. Oh, sir, we play selfie tag, or I'll hold a cone, try and explain a new game. Go, oh, I know we're playing selfie tag. Oh no, we're actually playing a different game. But we'll play it later if you want.
What's so amazing about all your stuff is that not only are you teaching them so many different things, and the children don't realise how much they're learning. They're like, a lot of things that I'm hearing from you is manipulation is a massive thing. What you do with that, give them so much opportunity with object control, and all those fundamentals are constantly drip feeding in. Is that something that you do? When you just about to create it, do you think about those fundamental skills? I'll bring in agility in there, I'll bring coordination there, and I'll bring...
Again, it stems from another game. So I'll be playing something and I'm going, oh, actually, let's try that, or let's tweak that slightly. Or sometimes the kids will do it. So I remember we did a game once. It was human hungry hippos. So we've got all the cones in the middle, and then they were doing wheelbarrows to the middle, pick cone up, come back. And the kid went, oh, should we do a leapfrog? I was like, okay, let's try that. So we did leapfrog. And I was like, animals. okay, so we've done leapfrog. Now, what animals have we got there? And then I will do bunny hops. So then we've got this, again, completely brand new game from the kids. And another one was dice football. So I had a foam dice, and then we were playing a small-sided game where some were playing football, some were playing handball. But after a goal was scored, they would roll the dice, and that would be the goals they got. And the kid went, "Can we swap the football for the dice?" And then when we score a goal, wherever it lands, and that's the goal we got. I went, "Let's just try it. What's the worst that can happen?" So again, a lot of it is from initial idea. Either I go, "Let's try that," or a lot of time the kids go, "Can we do that?" And some teachers go, "No, we're not doing it. We're not moving away from the plan." I'm like, "Let's go and try it. As long as no one's going to get hurt, let's give it a go."
Very impressive. So if somebody who wanted to use your content or purchase your content, where could they find it and where could they purchase it from?
Again, going back to being a rubbish businessman, a lot of the ideas are on my social media page for free. So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. But if you go to the link on my profile, on my TikTok or Instagram, or even on my X profile, it takes you to my website. So on there, so I call them playbooks. So instead of schema works, they're playbooks. So there'll be as cooperation games on there. There's striking and fielding games. There is tag games. So that's your warm up for the whole year done there. And there's about £4 to £5 for, not 45, £4 to £5. That'd be expensive. So yeah, you can go on there, you can download them. So again, it's not, here's week 1, here's week 2. It's very much, here's the block of lessons and block of games that you can use. So teachers can pull that and go, "We'll try that this week, we'll try that." And again, it comes with steps in there. So differentiation, how kids can achieve success, questions for assessment for learning. So again, you can repeat the questions to the kids. You can drop it in and out and check on the assessment, make sure they're on the right tracks. So that is on the link in my profile. But again, they're more playbooks as opposed to schemes of work, because I love teachers, again, have ownership, again, give teachers ownership on what they're delivering, as opposed to going, "Kettle have to do this on week 1." Because again, I don't know where you are, what you've got. And I think that again come back from my time with the FA. I was going into schools with a whole bag of 30 night footballs, pop-up goals, bibs. And again, that's great. But when you leave, we've got 5 footballs, 4 of them are pumped up, the other one's got a puncture in it, and we've got 6 bibs having been washed for 10 years and probably like 4 cones. So, again, a lot of the games I share, anyone can pick up. There's minimal equipment, and the equipment that is on there is pretty much in 99.9% of PE cupboards.
Is there anything that you would like to talk about? Any upcoming events?
Oh, the coming events. I would say there's 2 things that I would certainly, anyone watching this, hopefully it'll go up before the event actually happens. So I always get asked, when can we get freebies? When can we get free equipment? Not from me. But so 2 events. You've got the National School Sports Week, which is the Youth Sport Trust out there. So that's taking place on the 16th, 22nd of June. Schools sign up to that. You get the free resources on there, but also you get free equipment. So I think it's the first 1,000 schools sign up, they can get that. So you go to the Youth Sport Trust website, sign up onto there, you get free equipment. And another one, which I think to me is one of the best kind of equipment free resources you can get, is the Monster Kickabout with Sports Direct in Nike. I don't know if you've done that previously. So again, linked heavily to often to the Euro tournaments. Obviously this year it's the Women's Euros. So again, schools sign up to there. So that's Sports Direct in Nike. Monster Kickabout, again, you get free resources, football kit. So you get footballs, bibs, cones, you get resources. So I think any freebies that schools can get, again, it then stretch your PE premium further because you're getting free equipment from all these resources. So yeah, I think certainly those are 2 well worth checking out for anyone watching this who wants free equipment for their schools.
I did a Monster Kickabout last year, and I got all the free resources on the field. We was doing kick rounders with all the bibs on. It was fantastic. Had all the balls, had all the bibs, quick and easy. And all you have to do is sign up.
That's it. You put your email address in, you get the same with obviously the Pokemon Schools event came up. We had a load of Pokemon stuff for the kids, and go back to earlier about engaging kids. They saw these Pokemon. I had it somewhere. The Pokemon the football. Because "Oh my god, that's so cool!" I'm like, "Yeah, good driver, go, yeah." And they're getting like Pokemon cards. So we did cross by challenge, get a pack of Pokemon cards. Yeah, kids absolutely loved it. So there are so many great initiatives out there for primary schools in England to get signed up to. So I will share all I can on there because I want to help anybody. And then being a rubbish businessman, get as much as you can for free.
Kev, thank you so much. Honestly, I've been watching your journey for quite some time, and it's been an absolute privilege.
Thank you very much for having me. Loved it. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you very much for watching or listening to my podcast. I really appreciate it. If you would like to be a guest on any future episodes, you can get in contact with me through my socials. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.